Okay, so this is the teacher help video for the 3.1 practice assignment. So use your 3.1 notes to help you do this practice problems, okay? All right, so let's look here at number 1 together. So this one they kind of did the table. The table is weird on this one, okay? So we're gonna do this kind of modified way. So right here, x is 0. So we're going to put 0 in for x. So we got 4 times 0 plus 3. So 4 times 0 is 0 plus 3 is 3. So the point we're going to plot is 0, comma 3. Right? They just have the table weird this time. All right? So then on the next one, our next x is 1. So we're going to plug that in. 4 times 1 plus 3. So 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7. So the point that corresponds to that, the x is 1 and the y is 7. Because here the x is here and the y is here. So it's 1, 7. So let's plot that. So 0, 3 means we don't go left or right, but we go up to 3 like this right here. Okay? And then for the next one, we go right 1 and up to 7 right there. So right 1, up 7. So then when we plot that line, let me see if I can do a better job. It's going to look something like that, and we need to extend it down that way. Okay? Okay, so now we're going to switch over to plot this on the computer, okay? So I need you to go to your Google Classroom and open up the assignment and then come back here and we'll do that together. So the assignment here, let me get mine open, is so when you get that open, we go here to number 1. We're going to click right here, and that value from our table was a 3, and this one right here was a 7. So that's going to be 3, and that's going to be a 7. All right, so now when we plot this, it's going to be very different than what you're used to, okay? So if we plot the first point, it's 0, and then we go up to 1, 2, 3 right there. Now, then it's already expecting you to do a second point. So when you do your second point, my second point is at 1, 7. So again, I got it, since I went off there, I got to start over. So it's at 0, 3, and then I just have to go over 1 and up to 7. And I know that may take a second to get used to, but then it plots it. And the reason I like doing it on the computer is because you know, am I doing it right? Am I plotting it correctly? Did I get my numbers right when I made my table? So it lets you get immediate feedback on how you're doing with your table and your graphing. Okay? So I do want you to do it on the computer for that reason. Okay, so we are going to, so that's number 1. You can check it to see if you got it right. And then we're going to switch back and do number 3 together. All right, so we're going to go back over here to number 3, back on our paper. And on number 3, we're going to set up our table, right? We got X, and then we have the column for our equation, and then we have our Y, then we have our column for our X, Y, like this. Okay, so we're going to use -1, 0, and 2 when we do this. All right, so if we plug in -1, that's going to be -2 times -1. -2 times -1 gives me a +2. So then that's going to be -1, comma 2. Okay, I'm going to redo part of this. Give me just a second. I just made that a little tight, so I just made it a little larger so it's easier to see. Okay, so now if we go to the next one, we're going to put in 0. So we'll have -2 times 0, because we take out the x and we put 0 in its place. So -2 times 0 is just 0. So my point is 0, 0. So my third point, we got -2 times 2, right? Because we put 2 in place of x. So -2 times 2 is -4. So that's going to give me 2, comma, -4, like that. All right, so then we're going to plot our points. So our first point, we go left 1, up 2, like that. And then 0, 0 is right at the origin. And then 2, 4 means I go right 2 and down 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. And then I'll sketch my line like that right there. Okay? Now we want to switch over and do this on the computer. So on number 3 is what we're looking at. So right now on this, I did not make you do every part of the table, just the X and the Y. I want you to do it on your scratch paper where you show your work. I want the 4 tables, but here we just need to put in the results for the Y. That way you can check and see, did I get my Y correct when I did that? And we got 0 here. Okay, hold on. And then right down here, for this one, we have a -4. That's going to be -4 when we do that. Okay, so now we are going to plot those points. So when you plot this, you only have to plot 2 points. Okay, I want you to have all 3 to show your work, but whenever you are going to graph it, you actually only have to plot 2 points. So let me add that here on mine, so that you're going to just plot 2 points. Okay. So when I do that, so I'll plot the first point, the -1, 2. So I'll go left 1 and up 2. And then my next point is at 0, 0. Now my third point is on here, right? If I look for the third point, 2, -4, 2, -4, it is right down there. It is on there, but whenever you're graphing this, you don't have to use all 3. Because all we really need is 2 points to determine a straight line. Okay, so, but I just wanted to show that to you. Okay, you don't always have to draw that third one. I was just doing it to show the point of what we were doing. Okay, all right, so let's go back and let's look at number, let's go back and look at number 5. Now, if you have your notes out, right, look at your notes. All right, look at your notes. So this is y equals -4. So if you look at your notes, that is a horizontal line, right? It's a horizontal line, right? So please write that down, okay? Write that part down, horizontal line. So there's no other work to show other than to tell me that. And where does y equal -4, right? Where does y equal -4? Where is that, right? So we come down to -4, right, in that spot. And we draw our straight line all the way across right there. Y equals -4 is right there like that. Okay? So we're going to switch back over and we're going to graph that on the computer. So there's no work to show here, but all we have to do is graph y equals -4. Now, y equals -4 is right down here, right? It's right down here, but we have to plot 2 points. So we're going to put our first one there, and then any other point along that, okay, right here, and then any other point on that line, so that we have our straight across horizontal line. So any 2 points on that line is going to get you that. Okay, and you can check it to see, make sure that you did that correctly. Okay, so now let's switch back. And we're going to do number 7. So on number 7, we're going to do our table, right? We're going to do our y. We're going to do our -5x plus 3 is our equation. That's going to give us our y. And then that's going to give us our point that we're going to use. All right, so we're going to use our numbers, -1, 0, and 2 again. So if we put in -1, it's -5 times -1 plus 3. Okay, so I would encourage you to practice using your calculator. So we're going to switch to our calculator. So we have we're going to go use the negative at the bottom. Negative. Wait a second. -5. And then parenthesis. And our first number that we're using there is 1. -1, excuse me. -1. Close the parenthesis. And then plus 3. Like that. So if you do that correctly, you should get 8 when you do that. You should get 8 when you do that. Okay. And then we're going to switch back right here. So we're going to put 8 in for y. And so that's our point is -1, 8 when we do that. -1, 8 when we do that. Okay, so then on the next one, we plug in 0 for x plus 3. So that's going to be 0 plus 3, which is, right, because -5 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 3 is 3. So then our point is 0, 3. Okay, so then the last one, we're going to put in 2 right here. So -5 times 2 plus 3. All right, so I'm going to put that in my calculator. -5 times 2 plus 3. All right, so that's going to be -5 times 2 plus 3. So that's going to give me -7. So I'm going to switch back over here, and I'm going to put -7 in for my y. So that's 2, -7, like that. 2, -7. Let me rewrite that a little bit. Okay, so now we're going to plot those points. So our first point is left 1, up 8, left 1, up 8, like that. And then the next one is 0, up 3, 1, 2, 3. And then the last one is 2, -7. So go right 2, down to 7, like that. So then I'm going to plot that, draw that line. Looks like that. I know that's not perfect. All right, so then we're going to switch over to the computer. I'm going to make sure I did it correctly. All right, so this is number 7 right here. All right, now, so my first point here is, right, that's an 8. So I need to put an 8 in there. And then right here, I need to put a 3 in there. And then right here, I need to put a -7 in there, like that. All right, so then again, you only need to plot 2 points. So I'm going to go with the first one. And so I'll go left 1 up 8. And then my second point is 0 up 3 right there. And then again, if you want to see it, my third point is at right 2 down to -7. There's my third point right there. Okay? So you can pick any 2 of the points. It doesn't matter which 2 that you use to do that. Any of the points would work. Okay. Okay, now we're going to switch back and we're going to go to we're going to just look briefly at number 8. I'm not going to do all of this one with you. I want you to try this one on your own, but we're just going to, I'll help you get it set up, okay? So we're going to do our table again. Now this time my equation is this x divided by 2 plus 1. Hold on just a second. X over 2 plus 1, and that's going to give me the y, and then I'll have my point to plot at the end. Okay. Now, I'm going to use the same ones, -1, 0, and 2, like that. All right, so right here, you would go -1 over 2 plus 1. Okay, so if we switch to our calculator, right, I'm going to switch over here. It's -1 over 2 plus 1. So again, that's -1, and then I'm going to use the n over d button like this. -1 over 2, hit the right arrow, and then we're going to do the plus 1. All right, so when I do that, I'm going to get 0.5, either 1/2 or 0.5. In this case, it's okay. All right, so I'm going to switch back over here, and I will go with the 1/2. I'm going to go with the fraction. So my point is the -1, comma, 1/2. Okay, so then you're going to put 0 in, like that. So 0 divided by 2 plus 1. So 0 divided by 2, okay, sorry, is 0 plus 1 is 1. Okay, and then on the last one, we're going to put a 2 in there. So it's going to be 2 divided by 2 plus 1. Okay? So that's what you're going to do on that. So I want you to finish that one up on your own. So remember, when you go to the computer version, you only have to plot 2 points. So I'll help you with that, but you're going to plot these 2 right here, because you can't plot the half on the computer version. So just use these 2 points right here. Okay, and I'll help you out with that if you need it. But I want you to try that on your own. So let's look at number 9. Now, for some reason, this didn't print, but the equation there is supposed to be y equals 0.5x. Y equals 0.5x on that. Okay, so the equation y equals 0.5x, represents the cost, y in dollars, for X pounds of bananas. Graph the linear equation, then use the estimate to talk about the cost of 8 pounds of bananas. Okay, so if we're going to graph this, we're going to make our table. All right, X is, and then we have our equation, which is the 0.5x. That's going to give me my y column, and then I'll have my point column to graph from. All right, so I'm going to use 0, -1, and 2. And we do have to kind of squeeze it in there a little bit this time. So that's going to be 0.5 times 0, which is 0. So my point is at 0, 0. And then I'm going to have 0.5 times 1, which is, anything times 1 is that number, 0.5. We're going to have to restart this section because we're talking about pounds of bananas. So when we do this one, we're not going to use 0, -1. We're going to use 2, 4, and 6. Sorry about that. So we're going to redo that and use 2, 4, and 6. I hope you're using a pencil. So this is going to be 0.5 times 2. In other words, half of 2 is 1. So that's going to give us 2, 1 for our first point. And then if we put in 4, 0.5 times 4, that's going to be 0.5 times 4 is 2. Right? And so my point here is the x is 4 and the y is 2. And then the last point is 0.5 times 6. So half of 6 is 3. So that's going to be 6, 3. All right, so if we graph that, we got 2, 1 right there. And then we go over 4 and up 2 like that. And then the last one is we go over to 6 and up to 3. So we want to be kind of really straight on this when we draw that, okay? Because we need to know, the question that they're asking is, what happens, use the graph to estimate the cost of 8 pounds. So here's 8 pounds down here. So that lines up with this right here. What is the cost of 8 pounds? $4. Okay? Now, it so happens in this case, that's also the exact cost, right? How do we know that it's the exact cost? Because if we plug it into our formula, right? So our formula is, y equals 0.5x. So y equals 0.5 times 8. So y equals $4. Okay? So then we will jump over and graph that. All right, so if we scroll, hold on. Nope. If we go to number 9, right here where it has a 2, we're going to put in a 1. The y is 1. When x is 4, y was 2. And then when it was 6, we had a 3. So that's what you're going to put in there. Now, again, we only have to, when we're graphing this online, we only have to use 2 points. So we'll use the first 2 points. So we go over to 2, up to 1. And then the next point is go over to 4 and up to 2. And you can tell everything else just kind of lines up right there. All right, I'm going to use the pencil. And if we look right here, right, our 8 and our 4 do line up right there. So in this box, you're going to put, we're going to put a $sign with $4. And then same thing down here. In this one, we're going to put a $sign with $4 like that. Okay, good job. Way to go. Okay, so let's go back over. And we are going to do, we're going to do number 11 together. And I want you to try number 10 on your own. That's it. These are a little tougher problems, but I want you to try it on your own. So before we set up our table, we need to actually solve this, right? So if we have 6x plus 5y equals 15. So we want to solve this for y. So we're going to subtract 6x like this. So that'll cancel. So over here we're left with 5y equals negative 6x plus 15. So then to get the y totally by itself, we have to divide everything by 5. So that cancels here. We're left with y. Here it won't reduce, so we just leave it as a fraction, negative 6 over 5x. And then 15 divided by 5 is 3, like that. Okay, so that's what's going to go in this first blank whenever you get to the online, putting it into the computer. Like that. All right, so then to set this up, we're going to use our table again. And then our equation is the negative 6 over 5x plus 3. And then that gives us a y. And then that gives us our points. Now we are only going to use 2 points this time. So I want to use 2 numbers that are, because since there's a 5 on the bottom, I want to use 0 and then just 5. Because that will easily cancel out with the 5 on the bottom. And we'll talk more about that as we move on. So if I put 0 in here, that's negative 6 over 5 times 0 plus 3. Well, anything times 0 is 0, plus 3 is 3. So then this is 0, 3, like that. And then on the next one, it's negative 6 over 5 times 5 plus 3. So I'm going to go to my calculator and I'm going to do negative 6 over 5 times 5 plus 3. All right, so that's going to be negative 6 over 5. Hit the right arrow, and then it is times 5, and then the rest of it is just plus 3, like that. So when you do that, correctly, you're going to get negative 3 when you do that. Okay, so now we're going to switch back. So that gives me a negative 3 when I do that. So I'll put that right in here for my y. So my point is 5, negative 3. All right, so I'm going to plot those 2 points. The first one is 0, 3. And the next one is 5. So go right 5 and down 3 right here. So then I will draw my line like that right there. Okay, so I want you, we're gonna put that in on the computer over here. I'm gonna walk you through that. So let's look at number 11. So on number 11, we're gonna put in negative, hit this, and we'll do 6, and then that's a 5, and then this, sorry, we need to have, let me just start that over. Well, in front of that, you need to have a y, and then you need to have an equals. All right. And then you'll have your x, y equals negative 6/5 x plus 3 goes right in that spot. And then in my table down here, there's a 3 that goes there. And then down here, there's a negative 3 that goes in there. Okay, so then when I plot this, I go to 0 up to 3, and then I go to over to 5 and down to negative 3, like that. And then you can check that to make sure that you've got all that right, but that should all be correct when you do that. Okay, awesome. Great job. And then I want you to try number 12 on your own. You're just solving this. This is kind of a review problem, so you're going to solve that one on your own. Okay, great job.